Engage Vernon.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win! Because we have...
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the CommLink Podcast, where we talk about Star Citizen and Squadron 42 and just about everything Cloud Imperium games. I'm Stubb and I'm joined by Silvius. ¿Cómo estás, mi amigo?
Hey. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty well.
I don't know what kind of language you were just speaking right there, but I'm assuming you were saying hello.
That was Italian. Just trust me.
Okay.
Yeah, man, a lot of talk going on in the Star Citizen community about the upcoming Alpha 3.23. And so that's going to be the main focus of this week's episode. Last week on Inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live, 323 was the topic to varying degrees. And we just had the big roadmap update and roundup this week as well. So there's a lot of talk going on out there in the verse, so to say.
Yeah, up until this week, what's today? The 8th of February. So yesterday they released the release view of the roadmap for 323. Up until then, everything was just kind of like, hey, these are the stuff coming. But now we have actual cards on the release view for everything. So we're just going to go through them. Read them, talk about them, and we love getting comments here. We love reading them. We read every single one. So if you guys have some differing opinions than us or want to add to the discussion, please comment, because I promise we will read every single one, and we might even respond to it next week's episode. So be active in the comments if you want to talk about some Star Citizen stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so much conversation surrounding 323, and we definitely always love reading your thoughts as well. So it helps us to continue our conversation. So
yeah,
everybody's got a different, interesting perspective on things.
All right, let's dive right into it. So first up, we have characters. One entry with there. We have the new character customizer. I think we all knew this was coming.
Yep. They've shown this off quite a bit. Yep. Especially, there's a fair amount of time spent during CitizenCon, and since then they've been talking about Starcloth and Star Hair and just all of the different updates coming to the character customizer. That stuff, I mean, it seems like they're doing good work with it, but I feel like probably for both of us, this is maybe one of the least exciting things about 323. It's nice to have, but I don't think either of us see ourselves spending an hour or two just coming up with a character.
Yeah, until the game is fully released and we're not going to have more resets and stuff, I probably won't mess with it a whole lot. I mean, I'll go in there and mess with the sliders and stuff a little bit, but yeah, I'm not going to spend an hour making a new character when it's probably going to get reset in a few months. So.
Yeah, maybe once, Death of a Spaceman's fully implemented and that sort of thing, I could see myself maybe taking a little bit of time and be like, okay, I'm actually going to care what this character looks like. But, until then, it's neat, but it's not really moving the needle for me as far as 323 goes.
If one of you out there can figure out how to make a character look exactly like Stone Cold, please figure it out and send us that, and we're going to make an org entirely out of Stone Cold characters. So,
Hell yeah!
Definitely. But next up, though, one thing that I'm pretty excited about, and I believe you are as well, under the locations tab, we've got distribution centers. So traversable areas offering gameplay opportunities in corporate industrial environments. They've said that everything from just social interactions will happen at distribution centers, opportunities for combat, for trading, that these are going to be not as large as landing zones, right? But still of a larger scale than an outpost, right? They're called distribution centers, but in my head, I'm almost looking at them as like small little towns almost in Star Citizen. You know what I mean? Because you're supposed to be able to shop, you're supposed to be able to socialize, you're supposed to be able to grab missions. right? So
Yeah,
it's like a little town.
I don't think they'll have like houses or anything with people
Right.
living in them. But I mean, maybe there's apartments inside or something for some of the people that work there or something. I don't know. But like a lot of things in 323, this is kind of going to be like a tier 1 drop of distribution centers. So we're just getting the surface layer of them. We're not getting the underground section,
Right.
which will come at a later date, hopefully this year. But yeah, it looks like it's going to add a lot of, variety and gameplay, and I'm sure it's going to make use of one of our topics coming up, the freight elevators.
Yep. Yeah, that'll play into it.
And the new cargo missions, which I think are also in these cards.
Yeah, I'm excited for them. If for no other reason other than it's going to be another hub of activity in the game, similar to a landing zone or a space station. Smaller scale again, but still, they're going to be much larger than your typical bunker, right? It's not like
Yeah.
these are little bitty tiny locations, but they're just not quite to the scale of the landing zone for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to be able to refuel and restock at certain ones, or kind of like you do with the outposts now, which is the smaller pads.
I would imagine so, right?
Yeah,
Because
or maybe
the
it depends on
distribution
the
center,
type.
Yeah, maybe. But either way, though, you're still going to have people coming and going. So you would think they would want to have some sort of, basic ship necessities there, right? Like being able to refuel and being able to repair. You might not be
Yeah.
able to, call your ship there, right? Same as an outpost. Um, but yeah, I think they'll at least let you refuel. I could be wrong, but I would be surprised if that's not there.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of information on these right now. I mean, they did the whole CitizenCon panel about them, but I'm really looking forward to probably the ISC we're going to get in a few weeks that probably gives us a little more detail on these, and a lot of things in this 3.23 patch I'm really looking forward to a little more detail on, because right now it's just kind of like, yeah, it's going to be there, but we don't know exactly how some of these things are going to work.
Right. Yeah, but it's either they have landing pads there or what? We go park in the grass, like away from the building, and then.
Well, I think they definitely will have the pads, because we've seen a screenshot. I forgot what it was on. It might have been like the sneak peek of the week or something, but it was a shot of like a Cutlass engine looking down and the freight elevator on a pad. So yeah, I'm sure we're going to have pads to land on to get cargo to and from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what else they have.
Yeah, for sure. Next up is the gameplay section, and there's quite a few entries here on the release view. So first we've got visor and lens HUD rework. So redesign and reworked HUD for helmet visor and player lens. What they've shown so far looks pretty sharp, I think. And this is, one of those sort of maybe quality of life things.
It's probably just that those UI updates we saw at CitizenCon, especially the ones in the Squadron 42 trailer and stuff. That's about what I'm expecting. So
yeah,
anytime they upgrade UI, it's good.
Yeah, making the game easier to read and being able to understand the information it's providing to you in an efficient way. Any updates that help increase that, I'm all for.
Hey, maybe we'll get some colorblind options.
We can dream, right?
Right.
We can dream.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then we've got, and a lot of people are pretty hyped for this, the personal and instanced hangars. So new tech that creates an instance of the player's hangar to allow for uninterrupted management of cargo, inventory, and vehicles. I think we're also going to be able to like personalize and decorate these too, right?
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah.
One, it's not only personal hangars, but it's supposed to be persistent, right? So anything you bring back, like relics, vending machines from Kovalex, chairs, maybe even smaller vehicles, you can just kind of park in there or whatever, and hopefully it'll stay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if these are going to be similar to the personal hangars we used to have, because I feel like those might be different than this. I don't know, but they haven't really clarified whether or not we're going to be able to put up like posters or fish tanks, stuff like that in
I would hope
various
so.
places. Yeah.
You know, because people love playing house in games, right? I mean, it's
Right.
especially MMO players in particular. Not to say that people don't get really into base building in other games, like say Fallout, for instance, but it's a thing with MMOs. So I would think, even if not right out of the gate with these personal and instance hangers, eventually I would see being able to decorate the place being a feature of them.
Yeah, I think that'll be it eventually. I mean, obviously you're going to be able to probably like take out a box and stack your plushies on top of it and stuff like that. But will there be UI or, certain spots of the hangar where you can place these things? And I don't think that's going to be in this first iteration, but yeah, this is a big one. I think it might, man, I haven't been playing a lot of Star Citizen lately, but stuff like this is definitely going to bring me back. If, I can go out, and a lot of people want to decorate their ships and load it up with all their guns and stuff, but between bugs and other various things that happens with the game, it doesn't usually last too long, right?
Right.
So having something to come back to and always stay the same and decorate and hopefully invite friends to, and is going to give some sort of permanence to the game and a goal other than just make money, buy ship.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. People like to, like I said, they like to decorate their player homes in games. So,
yeah.
But again, what you just mentioned, like, we don't know a lot of specifics on a lot of these 323 features. We know they're coming in some shape, form, or fashion. And, a lot of this stuff they've been talking about for quite some time and had their fair share of panel time. It's like CitizenCon in October, for instance. But they're still being pretty tight-lipped with a lot of specifics. I do think, though, that hopefully in the very near future, that's going to change, right? Because I don't want to take us on a total tangent here, but we've talked all fair, like 323 is going to have to cook in the PTU for quite some time, most likely, right? It's probably not just going to be a brief 1 or 2 weeks in PTU and then straight to live. So, if they're aiming for April for a 323 to live release, I don't think it's crazy that we don't get PTU either late this month or sometime in March.
Yeah, that would be ideal. I mean, they're definitely going to need to iron out some issues with a lot of this stuff, because this is probably the biggest patch we've had. And man, I don't even remember when we've had a patch with this much stuff packed into it. But yeah, like you said, yeah, it's going to have to be tested for a while. And I know they're targeting live for April, but we've heard that a lot before. And I think, as long as they get it out open PTU, I think they're okay with that. So while I want to be cautiously optimistic that we're going to get live in April, I'm also the, realist in me is thinking maybe open PTU in April, and then more like a next month we might get live. So we don't know. I think that's an okay goal to shoot for, because, I would rather this stuff be working well when it goes to live than rush it out just because of, a date they had in their heads. But
we cannot have another 318.
Yeah.
Can't happen. Can't.
Yeah, which it worries me a little bit that they're saying this for April, and the replication layer tests still aren't going great. And that's supposed to be part of this patch, according to one of these cards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Hopefully all this stuff makes it. If I think that's the sentiment from a lot of people in the community right now. They're like, holy shit, this is going to be awesome if they can pull it off. And I think a lot of us have been burned too many times before to just, see this and be like, oh, great, that's all coming in April, and not question it. But
right.
Yeah, I hope they know what they're doing this time.
But yeah, like I said, I didn't mean to divert us too far off of topic, but yeah, we're still in February working with very limited information. So a lot of this is going to continue to be speculation until either we get some really, really in-depth looks through the Star Citizen YouTube content that they put out, or our hands on the build itself.
Yeah. And going back to these hangers, it doesn't look like on the card it says anything about persistent hangers. So while I hope they are, and I don't think to my knowledge, I don't think they've clarified yet if they're persistent or not. I almost fear that they're going to be personal and instanced, but then all you're going to have available is like the kiosks to your freight elevator, and that's just going to be like the first iteration. And then they're going to bring the persistence later, where you can come like stack stuff all around the hangar. It doesn't have to be on the elevator to be stored necessarily in your hangar. But yeah, I feel like that's probably going to be the way they go with this first, is probably here's your instance hangar. You have your freight elevator. You can pull your stuff up from it, and that's it. But if it's persistent, that's awesome. And I think that's probably the first step to persistent habs, which we should be getting.
I just clicked on the card itself. I didn't realize when you clicked on the card, it gives you a different description for it. So, or at least an additional description. Personal hangars are found at the player's home location and allow for customization and organization of the hangar interior. That's on the card for 323. So, according to that, we should be able to customize them.
Yeah, so that little tangent I just went on might not even matter, because it sounds like they should be persistent.
Right. If the card is anything to go by. Next up, we've got the mobiglass rework. So reworked mobiglass to use building blocks, which will also allow for easier development of mobiglass apps. The update includes reworked home, maps, contract manager, and journal apps. I think the new mobiglass that they've shown looks nice.
We've seen
a good job with it.
A few different versions of it through CitizenCon the past couple of years, and what they have on the card right here looks pretty good. And they were going to have to change it at some point to building blocks, and coming with several different apps like that, it's going to be good.
Yeah, isn't like the current mobiglass in game still running off of Flash?
As far as I'm aware, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it is. Next, we've got the FPS loot system. So, introducing a new screen for looting critical items quickly, allowing for more reliable inventory management in tense situations. So, this is a fantastic quality of life update for FPS combat. In my opinion, I'm really excited for this to hit the game, because looting mid-combat in Star Citizen right now is a nightmare.
I think this answers one of our questions we had from last week when we watched the ISC about the interaction stuff, and they didn't show the FPS loot screen.
Yeah.
That we were like, well, where is it at? Where's the new loot screen they showed off? And there it is. There's a card for it. So I'm glad that's coming with the new interaction system. I was worried it was going to be tacked on and like a 0.1 or 324 or whatever.
Yeah, I have to say everything they've shown so far of new UI updates and the new interaction system, both of those combined, I'm really, really excited for. It
Yeah.
looks great. Next up, we've got the FPS map system. So they're implementing a mini map for the HUD as well as interior maps for FPS gameplay, helping players stay oriented in close quarter encounters. So this is going to be a nice quality of life update. I feel like they did give us the caveat that not every location is going to have a mini map available right out of the gate. They will be adding further locations later down the line, but we should at least get a decent amount of locations, right? Like ship interiors, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think I don't think they went into detail really what is going to be included, but I do think Jared, could be misremembering, I do think Jared said that they were trying to aim for getting all the ships done for 323, and then some of the locations. I don't expect like landing zones or probably even stations to be in at first, but hopefully at least the ships, and they look really good.
Yeah, you can tell they've put a lot of time and effort into these things. There is some comedy or some humor to us being so excited about getting a mini map at this point in development after all the time and all the funds raised. It's finally happening. We're finally getting what's a fairly basic feature in a lot of other games, but their mini map in particular does look really nice and detailed.
Yeah, and I think you can like see all the doors that are open and closed, maybe different systems. So maybe especially with hopefully engineering gameplay coming this year, it's going to be helpful. Easy for me to say, helpful for them to do that too.
Right. Yeah, I hope so. And I'm sure that we probably won't get like every single space station interior or landing zone, but hopefully we'll get a little bit more than just ship interiors at first. At least bunkers would be nice for the FPS gameplay, and then I maybe we'll get more than just ships. I don't know. This is the problem that we're having right now with 323 is so many of these features they're still vague and what all they're actually going to include.
Yeah, I could see bunkers being included. Yeah, we'll just have to see how fast they roll it out after this first round of mini maps.
Right. In addition to the FPS map, next we have new missions, cargo hauling. So making use of the freight elevators feature, this mission type will have players hauling large quantities of cargo to earn both AUEC and reputation. So we've got...
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am too. It sounds neat, right? Racing against the clock to deliver some Quantanium, and all the while fighting off Nine Tails during the event does sound like a lot of fun. I hope when it is introduced, it's not broken and it progresses as it should. That's sort of been an ongoing issue with dynamic events in Star Citizen. I fingers are crossed that this will be an exception and it plays well right off the bat. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's I guess it's similar to the Nine Tails Lockdown, they called it, and probably just a different twist on that. I never really played it a whole lot, here and there. The combat was fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the new dynamic event.
Yeah, absolutely. Did I skip over cargo hauling?
I think so, yeah. I was a little confused at first, but yeah, I think you skipped over cargo hauling there.
Yeah, sorry. I think I scrolled a little too far. I jumped right to the blockade runner and skipped over the cargo hauling. But I guess while we're talking about blockade runner, again, we don't know a ton about it right now, but from what they have told us and not shown us, it sounds cool. It sounds neat. Again, though, like so many other things with Star System, I hope it works. You know what I mean?
That's the big thing. Between desync and other various bugs we run into, sometimes the dynamic events don't go the way CIG wants them to go.
No, and there's such cool ideas. Like, Siege of Orson, at least in my experience, is probably the worst offender as far as the thing being broken and bugged. But we talked about it last week. Like, there's still fun to be had with Siege of Orson, and there's still fun to be had when they do Xeno Threat. Um, but man, it would be nice if they were just consistently working,
Yeah.
and that you could have maximum fun because you're actually seeing the event go all the way through.
Yeah, like I said, I never really participated in the Ninetales lockdown a whole lot. But this, I guess they just kind of rewrapped it a little bit and maybe changed some things to make it flow a little better, hopefully. But especially with all the new cargo stuff coming in, maybe it'll be an event that I actually, try out a little bit more this time around.
Yeah, and with the reputation hostility update that we're going to talk about a little bit later here in this episode, it might get really, really interesting as far as the pirate player gameplay goes this time around.
Yeah, it's
because
yeah, who knows what all that reputation change is going to bring? But yeah, that's a point I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, I wonder if this might be a great way of farming some Ninetales rep. Like if you play on the pirate side of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see. All right. So next up, but also technically going back on the roadmap because I skipped over it. New missions, cargo hauling. Making use of the freight elevators feature, this mission type will have players hauling large quantities of cargo to earn both AUEC and reputation. So currently, neither of us really do much cargo hauling. I don't really do any at all in game.
Yeah, I did some a while back, but yeah, not much at all. Just the risk of 30Ks, having to front your own bill for the materials to trade, just kind of wasn't the kind of trading I was looking for. I did a lot of trading in Elite back when I played 8 years ago, and I really enjoyed that. So hopefully these cargo missions kind of are kind of the step towards that sort of trading that I enjoyed in Elite. And I think I'm definitely going to be trying these out.
Yeah, I am too, for sure. It's cool that they're going to be incorporating the freight elevators feature. But I do want to do more cargo hauling. But to your point, it's just the way that people have been talking about it. You hear all those stories about people spending a boatload of credits on a haul, and then they 30K, and then they lose all their stuff, and they're out of both the cargo and the money just because the server crashed, like no fault of their own. Like, that's not the most attractive proposition. But with these cargo hauling missions, I think I'm going to start to spend, hopefully, as long as everything functions well, again, a fair amount of time doing this, because I'm down with the idea of doing some serious space trucking. It just needs to be stable enough, I guess.
Yeah, I was just playing that new game coming out this year, Star Trucker. There's a demo out for it right now, and you just you're a trucker in space. You load up some cargo and haul it somewhere else, and there's various time limits and fragile cargo and whatnot, which I'm sure is going to be also included in these cargo hauling missions. So yeah, that's something I really enjoy doing, and I'm looking forward to finally being able to kind of have that experience in Star Citizen, and there's that rep tied to it. So, gaining rep with the trading guilds or whatever they are. That's one of my more looked forward to features coming up here in 323.
Yeah. Do you think we'll also get, maybe not necessarily right when 323 first hits, but maybe in a 321 or 323.1 update or something like that, pirate versions of this where you're smuggling illicit cargo?
Yeah, I could see that. And, especially from locations like Grimhex, or when we have Pyro, taking stuff to or from Pyro, from Stanton, smuggling in and out stuff between different systems. Yeah.
It could be something that would help give the MSR a little bit more to do in game. You know what I mean? With that a little section where you can hide your smuggled goods. Be cool if you were taking some contracts to fill up that spot.
For sure.
Taking it from
Yeah.
system to system. Yeah. Let's see. Next on the roadmap, we have the player interaction experience. Implementing the updated player interaction experience, a holistic array of complementary features and systems, all related directly to the player. Player status, item status, environment status, as well as interactions with both the game world and objects within it are covered under these systems. So this is a massive, massive update as far as just how we interact with Star Citizen, right? I mean, this is going to touch so much, and they have shown a decent amount of the work that they've done with pie piss or whatever they're calling it. It looks really nice. I like the direction that they're taking the player interaction with.
Yeah, it does look nice. The little action wheel they have to change your default actions, that's a pretty huge one, just being able to change whatever action you prefer for different items. I can't really think of another game that does that off the top of my head, but that's really cool. I think it looks way better than what we have now, and there's no way it's worse than what we have right now.
Right.
So it can only improve.
Yeah. It looks really nice. I think it looks very intuitive to use. Again, we haven't had hands-on personal experience with it, but just based off of the footage they've shown, it looks like they've been doing a really nice job. So, and this is something that the game does need. So,
yeah, it was, looting stuff in a bunker. It could be such a headache sometimes, just trying to get that right spot to get that magazine or med pen or whatever you need, or
so frustrating.
Accidentally grabbing their arms when you need their torso armor or whatever. And yeah, it's just, it's going to make everything a lot easier.
Yeah. The UI in this game has needed a cleanup. And the interaction system in the game is frustrating at times, for sure. So this is a nice change to see. And I can't wait to try this out on PTU for sure. Like we talk sometimes about how Star Citizen is going to start to feel like a different game, like a Star Citizen 2.0, and introducing the new player interaction experience, I think, is one of those fundamental changes that's going to help facilitate the game feeling like it's got fresh new life in it again, and that it's truly progressing,
Yeah.
and feeling more like a game.
Yeah, I think some people are a little concerned about, the Fs popping up all over the screen and interacting with stuff, but it seems like they're pretty confident in how it's going to work and the ease of use and everything. So,
yeah, that was the point they made on Star Citizen Live last week for sure.
Yeah, I would say wait until we have it in our hands and can actually try it out before jumping to conclusions or saying like, oh, this is trash, because there's going to be F buttons all over the screen, but maybe there won't be, or maybe you can customize whether you can even see them or not. So,
yeah, that's something else we talked about last week. Again, I think it's a win-win for everybody if the F buttons popping up on your screen becomes annoying or cumbersome to you. Just give us a toggle in settings to turn it off. That way, everybody's happy.
Yep. That'd be a hopefully simple solution.
And maybe that'll be out of the gate. Who knows? I don't know if they haven't mentioned, as far as I know, whether or not there will be a toggle like that. But to me, that's one of those sort of no-brainer things, because there have been, like you said, people expressing concerns over it. So it's not like CIG isn't aware of that. They even talked about it on SEL last week. So I think just a toggle could be the answer to any woes that this new system might bring people. But I do think overall it's going to be a net positive for the project.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff, we're not going to know the details of it until we get it in PTU. And man, I am looking forward to trying a lot of this stuff out in PTU.
Yes, sir. Next up, we've got EVA Tier 2 on the card. improved EVA controls and animations for smoother traversal in 0G, introduces the limited EVA fuel, and encourages the use of 0G push-pull and the multi-tools tractor beam. Now, they've said like push-pull is not going to immediately come with this new EVA update, but they have shown off some of the functionality of it previously, like at CitizenCon and some of their more recent YouTube content as well. So this is a big change, I think, for a lot of different player types. Like we've all been in a situation where you're trying to EVA onto a ship and your player model just starts to freak out and you start to swirl around like a tornado until you face plant, which can be amusing the first few times, but eventually it's kind of frustrating in all actuality.
Yeah. A lot of gameplay loops, you have to utilize EVA for. So yeah, just being able to leave my ship and land somewhere else without my body spinning around my wrist or face planting when I enter a new location or whatever, that's going to be great. And it looks really good. I don't think I've seen another game do EVA in the orientation, the Superman flight like Star Citizen is doing. Most games I can think of off the top of my head have like that upright orientation, kind of like we have now. So right. I'm really interested to play with it and see how it works.
Yeah, me too. I think this is going to be one of the cooler updates, in my opinion, for 323. Even though we're not going to get every single new EVA function right off the bat, this is something that's, we've wanted updates to EVA for quite a while now, and we're finally starting to get them. So that's exciting.
Yeah, the card there's a little misleading with the talking about the push and pull and the fuel, but as far as I know, it's still the plan not to have that in 323, and be a later update. But I mean, it could change between now and then. But as far as I know, that's the plan.
Yeah, and hey, look, if they're able to make whatever strides and progress that need to be made behind the scenes, even if this doesn't hit 321.0, maybe it's a 3.21.1 update. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe it's not there immediately, but a month or so after the patch is out, it gets added. It gets patched in.
Yeah, so, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. They do want to continue to, it seems to port over as many of the Squadron 42 features as possible within the first couple patches of this year. So maybe worst case scenario, it's closer to summertime, but I don't see them. Maybe I shouldn't say this out loud because it could happen this way, but I don't think it's going to play out to where this EVA update hits and then we don't get any additional iteration on it for like a year or two. Like I think they'll keep working on it throughout the year.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty quick. And I think they might have mentioned it in Star Citizen Live, but if they have fuel, then they have to have a way to refuel our suits and UI to keep track of that and everything. So maybe just some stuff like that's not ready yet, and we'll see it later this year.
It's a hose that you attach to your ship's tank, and then you put the other end of that hose right to the ass of your undersuit.
There you go. That would work.
Pump full.
Fill her up.
Ready to go. Next, we've got an update to the reputation system. Thank you. It's not a large overhaul to the overall reputation system, but it is going to update hostility in the game. So adding a new feature to the reputation system where players will encounter AI that are either friendly or hostile based on their reputation with the organization the AI belonged to. This also includes different friendly fire thresholds and defense responses. I like this. This is going to make the verse feel way more natural. I think if you are a bad boy and you've been doing some bad boy stuff for Ninetales, doesn't make any sense that they would just shoot you on sight whenever they see you, right?
Right.
You should be building a rep with them, and they should, respond accordingly like people would in real life.
Yeah, this one I've really been looking forward to, because I've always had the idea of why doesn't reputation work with like Crusader security, Microtech security, all of the different security things you do various missions for, where you can accidentally have some friendly fire going on because sometimes the markers don't show up. We just recently got those markers.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the desync is bad and, you know, somebody jumps in front of you when you're firing or whatever, and you get a crime stat, and the rest of your play session you're trying to clear your crime stat or you're going to Klesher or whatever. So having a threshold of, you know, oh, we know you're this reputation with us, so little friendly fire, no big deal. Maybe we'll just kind of kick your reputation back a little bit. You're not going to Klesher for it.
Right. Yeah, because if you've been running, say a bunch of missions for Crusader security, right, and you're building up your rep, and you've been successfully completing contracts, this, that, and the other, running missions, you accidentally hit somebody with friendly fire, like they shouldn't just all turn on you immediately and just murder you into oblivion or try to.
Yeah, right. So I think that's a good first step for reputation, and I hope it's going to go along with the stuff in Pyro. So the next time we see like a Pyro preview, maybe they have the reputation for the gangs in there.
Yeah, because that's supposed to be. People keep talking about Pyro being sort of this free for all system, and it kind of is, but ultimately it's kind of not going to be, because your reputation with gangs are going to affect now how these NPCs respond to you in certain areas. So if you're part of, again, let's say Ninetales, and you've been doing a bunch of stuff that's been negatively impacting your stuff with, say, the Dusters, you're not just going to be able to go into Duster territory willy-nilly and be able to, find some players to go kill or whatever just because you're itching for PvP right away. Like, there's going to be somewhat of a barrier to entry to different spots in Pyro where it's going to be more difficult for you to go and visit and engage in whatever gameplay is there. So, and of course that's going to extend beyond just Pyro, but I say that to say that this is going to be, I think, what's going to help Pyro from it just being total anarchy. So
yeah, they have to roll out reputation with Pyro. I feel like especially once it hits live, like, I mean, it'll work without it, but I think reputation tied to those gangs and everything is going to be a major part of how Pyro plays and decides on where you can go, where you can't go, who you help, who you fight, all these sorts of things. So hopefully a little bit of that flavor is coming to Stanton with this little reputation update they're going to have.
Yeah, and I hope they continue to iterate on it too, and make it to where like your gang reputation impacts, like, say, prices that you're paying for things, right? Maybe if you've got really solid rep with a gang and you go to their territory, maybe you get a discount on weapons and fuel and med supplies and all that stuff that you wouldn't ordinarily get if you had less favorable reputation with them. So
Right.
yeah, any additional features to reputation, I'm happy to see, and it looks like maybe 2024 we're going to start to see them really fleshing out the reputation system, beginning with hostility in 3.23. But
yeah, we
fingers
had that
crossed for more to come in subsequent patches this year.
We had that little discussion on the Dark Forest theory last week on the episode, and little bit of reputation discussion there. But yeah, I'm of the belief that reputation is going to have to be tied into like a lot of the core elements of the game. And, at the game's core, you're going to have to choose who you represent and how you behave, and that's going to affect things you can do in the game because of the reputation.
Yeah, for sure. And no, I'm not going to go on a tangent about Pyro and anarchy and what anarchy actually is. And blah, blah. No, I am. There's a lot of people terrified of pyro, and I get it. You don't want to always have to be looking over your back. Maybe you're just not interested in PvP gameplay, all of that good stuff. Maybe this is more so for the people that are looking for pyro to be a gank fest. Maybe this is who I should direct this to. It's been called a lawless system. Maybe not by CIG, but I've definitely seen multiple people refer to pyro as being in a state of anarchy. Pyro is going to be populated by gangs. Gangs have rules and codes that they operate by. I will say this as simply as I can for anybody that doesn't grasp that anarchy means the absence of government. If you have gangs setting up and controlling territories, guess what they're a form of? Governance. So once this hostility features gets added to reputation in game, we're finally going to start to really feel that in game. The problem is there's not been any flavor of that in Star Citizen so far, really. So, as it currently stands, say if security and Stanton's going to act hostile to you, they're only going to do that if you've got a crime stat right now. But maybe if you don't necessarily have a crime stat, but they know that you're associated with a gang, maybe in the future, security AI will start to act more suspicious of you, keep a closer eye on you, that sort of thing, to make it feel just another layer of immersion added to the. I know we talk about immersion a lot with Star Citizen, but that would really help make the verse feel alive.
Yeah, it's there's a little bit of reputation now. Like you can build rep with, obviously the security and.
But it's mostly to unlock further
missions.
Contracts. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's nothing making AI behave differently towards you based on your reputation right now. And I think that's what this card is starting that transition to where maybe not all of the AI, but some of the AI is going to start behaving towards you differently based on what you do. Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I think it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a lot of fun in Pyro. I'm planning on spending quite a bit of time there, and I think it's going to be really a great testing ground for the reputation system. Pyro will be, so we'll find out at Christmas. I mean, summer. Starmap rework. Here we go. This is something that, again, nearly every single Star Citizen player has been looking forward to. Implementing the new and improved Star Map with improved visuals and usability, including easier search, thank you, and trip planning functionality. Thank you again. It looks great. The functionality that they've shown of them using the demo that they showed at CitizenCon back in October, it looked like it was very intuitive to use. We have been with a broken ass Star Map in game for years now. So again, when I say nearly every single player is super excited for this feature, for anyone that's new to Star Citizen, just this has been begged for by the community for so long, and we're finally getting it.
Yeah, it's been one of my most looked forward to features for a while, because I know personally several people that just get so frustrated with trying to travel around the game. They're just like, I'm not playing it until they change the star map.
Yeah. Sometimes a planet or a moon won't pop up, or if it does, the locations that you should be able to select a route to, those markers won't pop up. Or if you're setting a route, it'll tell you that you set a route, but it's not setting a route. So then you got to reset everything and try it all over again. Like it's so painful, and it doesn't matter whether you're a combat player, whether you're a trader, whether you're a miner, whether you're going around exploring, or whatever you're doing in the game. Everybody's setting routes at some point and has run into the headache that's the current star map.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of clutter to the UI too on the star map, like trying to select a location if you have a party member there. their name over the location, so you can't click on them, you can't click on the location, or there's locations overlapped from each other. I think
Very
all
similar
of
to how
that-
looting is right now.
Yeah, and I think all of that's going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, solved with this new map. And yeah, just being able to search for anywhere you want to go and to just set a route to go there, like that's major. And I can't overstate how much I think everyone's looking forward to this.
And at some point, along with like the Starmap rework, we're supposed to get like customizable waypoints that you can share with people. I don't know if that's going to be in 3.23,
right.
but hopefully so. And if not, hopefully it'll be, shortly thereafter. But yeah, so traveling in Star Citizen is, again, in theory, about to be a much smoother experience than it currently is.
And everyone has to use the star map, to go from anywhere to anywhere else. You pretty much have to use the star map. So every gameplay loop has to go through the star map, and just having something that doesn't suck to use is going to be like a new game.
Yeah. Next, we've got the item bank and unique item recovery. So they're going to be adding item bank kiosks to the persistent universe, allowing players to retrieve and store FPS items at multiple locations. This edition will also allow players to retrieve lost account-bound items, such as subscriber flare. I'm pretty hyped for these, honestly.
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of people for years have been, when are we going to be able to get our subscriber flare back? Like all this stuff we pay for in the store, like you die one time and it's gone, and now you're going to be able to get it back. So that's pretty big for a lot of people, I know.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge change, and also just the convenience of being able to retrieve and store FPS items in multiple locations. Because how it currently is, say you've been running a bunch of bunkers or whatever, and you've accumulated a bunch of weapons, and you go and store them, say, at Port Tresler. But then you go to, say, you travel to Orison from Tresler, you're not able to access any of those FPS weapons that you stored at Tresler, right? So now it sounds like this is going to make that a possibility and just make inventory management easier, which maybe sounds a little counterintuitive to how it sounds like they're heading in a direction with other things like the freight elevators. But anyway, this to me, I think is going to be a nice quality of life thing.
Hold on there, cowboy.
Wow.
I read that as in a completely different way.
Okay. Okay.
I like the idea you have, but the pessimist in me is like, there's no way in hell CIG is doing that. So the way I read this was the bank kiosk are going to be replacing your local inventory.
Oh, like you just straight wouldn't be able to hit I anymore in that inventory screen pop
because
up?
we know with the instance hangars and the freight elevators and the kiosk in your elevator, the local inventory of all the stations, all the landing locations is going away, right? You're no longer going to hit I. You're no longer going to hit I and get a magic inventory you can just pull shit from. So now,
how did that not sink in for me before this? Okay.
So now, instead of opening up your inventory, just pulling whatever you want over to the location, into your inventory, whatever, you're going to have to go interact with kiosk, and that's where you're going to get your stuff from.
Wow.
But hopefully, maybe they'll add, this will be some sort of space Amazon or something, where you can pay a fee to have your stuff shipped to you.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm really hoping they add that, because I know they want to get away from the magic inventories and have more physicalized areas. You go lockers, closets, suit storage, whatever, and get your stuff from there instead of having it, all just magically disappear into a inventory. So I think that's what this card is. It doesn't specify whether or not we're going to be able to ship stuff back and forth to locations, which I think has been a planned feature for a while. We just haven't really heard anything about it, but I hope that's part of this, but I'm thinking it's not going to be.
Okay. Dude, I can't believe that did not hit me.
The first time I read
broke it down for me.
The first time I read it, that's what I thought was like, oh shit, magic inventory to be able to get stuff from my home instance while I'm in Loreville or Area 18 or wherever is not my home. And I assumed it wouldn't be instant, but maybe pay a fee, wait 5 minutes or whatever, somebody delivers it, now it's in your locker or whatever.
Right. I thought that this was going to allow us to put items into the bank. Maybe because I in my head we were still having our personal inventory. But maybe you would have a limited amount of slots, a certain number of items that you could put in this bank. But it's something that you could access at any landing zone or any station or whatever. Not that whatsoever, it sounds like. At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, man.
We all know this game's going to get more tedious as it goes on, but I think it's just one of those things. It's going to be a hard transition going from the magic inventory. It was hard in the first place going from always having everything everywhere, no matter where you are, to just having it at certain locations. And now those certain locations, we're going to have to go to certain lockers or the freight elevator to retrieve our stuff. So yeah, it's just them adding that level of like physical immersion, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just hope the kiosks function. I hope we don't have a bunch of broken terminals on our hands. Imagine that. Because the terminal won't work. Not that terminals ever don't work in Star Citizen. That's crazy talk. But if a terminal wasn't working, then you're just locked out of the access to all of your inventory. Like, bro, that's not going to be good.
No. So this is one of those features I'm looking for a little more in depth on what they're talking about. So it could go either way, but I feel like it's going to be more towards physical inventory.
Yeah. Next, we've got freight elevators. The implementation of systems and content for players to physically load and unload cargo to and from their ships by conveying cargo to and from hangars, landing pads, garages, and docking collars. Finally getting those freight elevators we've heard about. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool being able to pull out just ground vehicles and stuff in your own hangar and not having to go to a garage or a random outpost on a moon to get your rock or your cyclone or whatever.
Yeah.
I am I need to go back and watch some of the CitizenCon stuff, and because I'm a little fuzzy on a few other things, but hopefully we get some more info on these soon. Like I was talking in last week's episode, I'm a little concerned about how it's going to work with parties. Is everybody going to have to go to their own hangar, load up their stuff and then meet back in whoever's hangar's ship they're taking, or multiple kiosks at the freight elevator, everybody gets their own, something like that. So that part of it, not really sure on, and I would love to know more.
Well, I'm sure we'll get a ISC on freight elevators between now and 322 hitting, or 323 hitting. But yeah. Still need some more details. We've also got master modes. You may have heard of master modes. So this is going to be implementing new modes to vehicles to manage their speed, components, and role-specific functions. This release introduces the nav and SCM modes, as well as a complete retuning of all ships. So master modes is something that's been in Arena Commander for a little while now, but this is going to be not only master modes being introduced to the PU, But it's going to be one of the most significant changes, I think, to the way flight combat feels in the game that we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
And this is another one of those things I see people having a lot of mixed feelings on. Some people are like, I think it's going to be great, and I'm really looking forward to it. And other people are like, this is going to be dog shit, and I'm going to hate it.
I like it both in theory and in practice. Like the little bit that I've played on Arena Commander, it felt good. The fights I found to be more enjoyable and engaging because it does make you close that distance. So there's not nearly as much jousting going on or what have you. It gives it a little bit more of that sort of World War II Star Wars dogfighting feel to it a bit just because of that closer engagement. And I'm sure master modes will introduce some sort of problems on its own or of its own, but this should pretty much immediately kill so much of the backstrafing that happens to Star Citizen, which has been a big problem in combat with this game. So
yeah, backstrafing, jousting,
just about for that alone, I'm hyped for this.
Yeah, it's going to change PvP a lot, and that's really the only context we have for it, right? We have Arena Commander with the Pirate Swarm and the PvP you can do, the dogfights, but we haven't seen it applied to the open world yet. Switching
Right.
from combat or SCM mode, as they're calling it, to navigation mode. How intuitive will people find that? How will it benefit or how will it hurt people mining, trading, salvaging that aren't part of this, dogfighting PvP world or whatever? So yes, it's going to be interesting to see how people react to it, and I'm interested to get my hands on it and see, how that navigation works and how it's going to change how people have to plan and think about trading and mining and everything. And
Right.
yeah, it's going to change. It's going to change a lot, and I think they have clarified we're not getting the quantum boosting and those features coming with the first iteration of master modes. I think that's supposed to come later.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how pirates behave with this and how people have to protect themselves, or maybe we'll see more escorts rolling out for trading and stuff. Just take a big hit with me here. Maybe with these new cargo freight elevators, the new missions, the new economy changes, maybe stuff will pay out more. Maybe we'll be able to make some more money. Maybe multi-crew will be more beneficial. So maybe traders will start hiring escorts. Maybe large mining operations will hire escorts, or stuff like that. So
I hope so.
It might lead to more cooperation, or maybe it'll lead to more people hiding. I don't know.
Let's see. Next, we've got the dynamic crosshair. Pretty small feature, but a cool one. Combat helmets now support the dynamic crosshair, which allows for quicker target acquisition in close quarter situations.
And it's supposedly only for combat helmets, I believe.
Yeah. So I guess if you're not wearing one, you're out of luck with this feature. But
yeah, seems like a neat little advantage to using a combat helmet.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on it other than I'm excited to get my hands on it, and I hope that it functions well. I like the idea of it a lot.
Yeah, since this one's one of the last cards and we haven't seen one about the scopes or recoil changes or anything, I hope that's just kind of like maybe a back end change or something. They're not really Maybe they're not trying to fluff the release view here like they normally do and add a little card for everything.
Right.
But I hope those are still in there, the updated scopes and stuff. But yeah, like we've talked before, we do a lot of FPS in this game. That's usually our go-to gameplay loop at the moment, and yeah, really looking forward to all these FPS improvements.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, in those tighter situations, like, to me, I'm sure it would be handy in any environment, but especially like different sections of like the 890 jump mission that you do where the pirates have taken over some of those corridors. I think this could be really handy in. I've not done a ton of FPS cave missions, but I'm sure there's probably some with some fairly narrow passages that some combat might pop off in. So yeah, this is going to be a cool little feature.
Speaking of, I was watching someone's gameplay video of the Pyro preview the other day, and they did a eliminate hostiles mission at a outpost, and there was like 30 some people left, and they found a hole in the floor, and it led to a cave, and there was a shit ton of enemies in the cave and like really intense combat. It looked really cool. So I hadn't seen that before, and man, it got me wanting that Pyro preview even worse. But
yeah, I'd like to see that. That sounds really cool.
Yeah,
I'd like to play that. That sounds even cooler.
Come on, Chris, where's the preview?
And then next up, we've got a major piece of tech. Replication layer update. Over the course of the 3.21 patch cycle, the replication layer will be moved off of the game servers and set up as its own standalone service. In the short term, this allows for greater server recovery in the event of a crash. This is also a critical next step toward server meshing. So they've done a little bit of testing with the replication layer so far as players being allowed to test it. The reports from that have been that it functions, right, but it's not super quick. I think you're at least going to wait a few minutes after server 30Ks, right, before it comes back up. But it does sound like it's functional, just not super fine-tuned right now.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it's working. I think they did another test yesterday, and it might still be running today. And it didn't seem to be going as well as the first test.
Interesting.
There were some servers that just wouldn't come back at all. I was watching Mike play this morning on my way to work, or listening rather, and I think he sat there for 10, 15 minutes. The server never came back. And there was only like 4 people on the server, and you couldn't join on him to the server, even if he was on your friends list. So a lot of weird stuff going on with it. We talked about some weird edge cases. I think last episode I mentioned some of that, where again, I was watching Mike and just reiterating what he had saw. But yeah, it's being tested right now, and I mean, if we still have a few months for it to cook, it might be ready for 3.23. But right now, there's a couple minutes of recovery time, and I think a lot of people are going to be like, maybe 2 minutes max. If they could get it a minute or less, that would probably be ideal. But I mean, if it eliminates 30Ks, I'm willing to wait 5 minutes, because you won't lose your stuff. You won't have to reset.
Eliminate the consequence of 30Ks, right? Like the servers are still crashing, which is still an issue, right? Like, I don't want replication layer just to be a long-term band-aid to the 30K problem. Like, hopefully we'll eventually get some stable servers.
Yeah,
and these will just be for emergency situations that are rare,
I could be wrong here, but I don't think the replication is specifically to eliminate 30Ks. I don't think that's the purpose of it. I think that's just a happy coincidence that kind of, eliminates the consequences of those.
Okay.
I don't think they ever set out like, okay, we got to get in the replication layer so 30Ks aren't a thing.
Right.
I think it's part of the steps towards server meshing. Because if you go back and watch like the CitizenCon videos, they have the graphs where everything's split off and different, split to the replication layer, then the replication layer connects to the shards or whatever. I can't remember what the graphics look like, but I think there's a reason in there for the replication layer for server meshing.
Yeah. And it does say right on the card, separating replication layer from the game server to prepare for a server meshed environment. So
yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get rid of 30Ks. I think that's always, hopefully they'll be very minimal and not happen a lot, but I think they're always going to sort of be there.
No, I would never expect for an online game server to just straight up never crash ever. But I was more so just saying, like, I hope the fact that this replication layer sort of removing the a lot of the harsh consequences of 30Ks that are currently there, like you losing all your crap. I hope that doesn't take away some motivation or incentive for them to, be like, well, yeah, the servers are crashing more than we would like, but we're not going to prioritize it as much as we would have otherwise because we do have replication layer running now. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't want this to somehow be something that's going to make, I don't know what I'm trying to say, dude.
Have an excuse to not fix 30Ks.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get what you're putting down.
So I'm not saying that that's what is going to end up happening, but I'm slightly fearful of that being the case.
Yeah, but hopefully this works out for 323. And man, that was the last card, and that's a lot of stuff for one patch.
It is. This is a chonker of an update. I'm hoping that everything is going to make it in time for 323. I'm sure the majority of it will. The more questionable item on this entire lineup for 323 probably is the replication layer. Making it, I'm way more confident about things like the dynamic crosshair and the reputation hostility and even the star map. But there's something about the replication layer, especially if, like you said, the most recent testing sessions haven't gone super great. I can see it maybe being the most likely candidate to slip from this patch.
Yeah, I'm just fearful that stuff like the instanced hangers are reliant on the replication layer.
Oh yeah, could be.
I'm not sure if the replication layer is the tech that allows them to like instance off certain parts of the game, like the hangers that we're going to have, where like the doors close, you're in your own instance. I'm not sure if that tech is part of replication layer, but I feel like it is. I think way back when we had our episode with Skyrider on here, we talked about it a little bit with replication layer about how that's probably going to tie into persistent hangers and instance hangers and stuff like that. So it does worry me a little bit that if that doesn't get on there, we might not see some other features. But we have 2-3 months for it to shake out, so hopefully they pull it off.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get our hands on this soon. Like, if they're going to hit April for live, that means PTU should be revving up within the next month or so, in theory. So
we've seen like 1 or 2 Evocati tests. I don't think there's any features in those. I think it was mostly just a balance or like performance test. But yeah, I'm hopeful for at least a wave 1 by end of February, early March. And man, I might have to re-up my sub and make sure I get on that wave 1 for this one, because it seems like a big one.
Yeah, I would for this one too. I think this. I think a lot of people are going to feel the same way, right? Their sub numbers are probably going to go way up whenever it is that 323 PTU goes online.
Yeah, and we haven't even there's a lot of cards on here, but we haven't even heard anything about what ships might be coming in 323. We know back in CitizenCon, they said like what 10, 12 ships are coming out in 2024.
Right.
So I'm expecting to maybe see a couple ships added on here too before it's all said and done.
Could be. I mean, in the PU monthly report that they came out with this week, there was mention of work being done like on an unannounced ship. So can't remember exactly what that was. Yeah, it said progressed well, receiving an updated lighting pass, different lighting state, standardized headlights, geo updates, close of the thrusters, also received a material refactor and other updates. So when they're doing that sort of work on a ship, I don't know exactly how far along the process that is. Like when you're working on the lighting, does that mean that it's
I think that's pretty
close to release? Okay,
yeah.
So that could be something that's going to be hitting with 323, whatever this mystery ship is.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be in 323. I think they mentioned it in the report. The Zeus will hopefully be this year. We might see the Apollo, maybe 323. I think they mentioned it in the report. Yeah, I think we're going to see at least 1 or 2 ships thrown in this patch.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, on the Zeus, it said they continued progress through the gray box stage, with some areas moving slightly beyond. So
yeah, so definitely not 323.
Yeah. Hey, maybe by Christmas.
Yeah, we're gonna have Pyro at Christmas, the Polaris, Merchant Man, all kinds of stuff.
Oh, baby. I cannot wait to do those new cargo missions with my Banu Merchant Man and Pyro this year.
Keep dreaming, buddy.
You'll at least be able to do some of those things. I don't know if you're going to get the Merchant Man this year. It seems very unlikely. But
yeah.
All the same, 323 looks like it is shaping up to be a huge, massive update. I hope everything makes it in. Obviously, we'll keep an eye, I guess, on how these subsequent replication layer tests go. Hopefully, whatever went wrong during the most recent one is squashed and fixed, and they're able to continue on with progress and actually hit 323 with it.
Yeah, I think this is just the tip of the information iceberg. So, next couple of months we're going to be talking these same features probably more in depth. We're probably going to get some more info on them. So yeah, I think
I hope so. Can I get on my SEL soapbox?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So for anyone that watched our reaction video to the most recent Star Citizen Live, which was titled All About 323, if you go back and you watch that video, like during the intro, like that excitement's genuine. Like I don't fake that during the intro. Like, hey, we're doing another CommLink alert and blah blah blah. We're happy to be here and thanks for tuning in. Like all that's real because I was going in with energy, positive vibes, especially towards that particular SEL because there was a lot of hype online around it, and a lot of people were celebrating all the information that it brought with it. And as we made our way through the video, it just started to feel like we're hearing a lot of the same exact bullet points that we heard back in October already, with hardly any new information whatsoever provided. This video is over an hour long, and I'm not saying we didn't get any tidbits of new information, but even the ones that we did, like they're talking about changes are going to be made to Xenothreat upcoming. What are those changes? Well, they don't want to say. They want to keep it a surprise, but they're going to let you know that updates are coming to Xenothreat, but they're not going to tell you what those updates to Xenothreat are. That's one of the only new bits of information I can think of. And they talked about it for all of 10, 15 seconds and over an hour. They had the economy team go on there, and the guy's saying that he basically lives in spreadsheets. And there's not a spreadsheet to be found. Instead, he's being asked questions to guess ballpark figures for ship price updates. That's not new information for us.
No.
Like, not significant new information for over an hour. This was supposed to be all about 323. And they did technically talk about 323, but it was far from a deep dive. We were in the kiddie pool on 323 on that, and I get they're not going to go into every single feature with a microscope and show us every little tiny bit of detail about these things. But I did expect a little bit more substance than what we got.
I think a lot of the excitement came from just the normal, December, January drought of no information. And, they hyped us up at CitizenCon and they said, all this stuff is coming in 6 months. Yeah. And everybody's just like, when's it coming? What's going to be here in 323? And that was the first video where they went through the bullet points and like, hey, this is the stuff coming in 323 rather than 324. So you're going to see it next patch. And I think a lot of people got hyped off of that.
Yeah.
Just the bullet points of mainly what we just read through these cards here. It was basically like a spoiler for the roadmap update this week. And that's pretty much all it was, just like 1-2 little sentences on most of the stuff that's coming. And I can understand why some people were hyped over that. But yeah, like it was just a list of things that we mostly knew we were going to get anyway.
We've known about for months.
Yeah. So I understand the disappointment, and I could tell when I was going back and editing the video and it was getting towards the end and you just looked like you were miserable. So yeah, I could tell you.
So bummed by the end of that. And don't get me wrong, I like Jared a lot. I like him as a broadcaster. I think he is fantastic in the role. I think he's a great sort of face for the company, if you will. He's a very personable guy. It seems, I've never met him, but just that's the vibe he gives off on camera. And he does a great job of translating dev speak. I think a lot of times in more layman's terms. Like, I think he's really good at his job. But man, I was really let down last week by that one. Like, really let down.
Yeah, I had already seen the bullet list of kind of all the things they had announced, so I kind of knew what was coming. But
and I saw that floating around too. But I thought that they were going to talk about some of those items,
right?
In some detail,
Yeah, and especially when I saw the economy, that they had the economy team on there, 2 guys from the economy team on there, and I was like, oh man, we're finally going to get some. It's not Tony Z, but we might hear the word quanta again. Yeah. And it was just them talking about increasing ship prices. So that was a big letdown for me. But
right.
I'm not going to get on my economy soapbox. But yeah, it's.
We'll at some point we'll do some podcasts that are probably exclusively talking about Star Citizen's economy, but we need more information before that happens, and
yeah.
I don't know. I want another big Tony Z appearance.
Yep.
But
we haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. But maybe that just means something big's cooking for the economy this year, and they're just going to start to slowly change things up a little bit. They've already done like stuff with FPS weapon prices. Now they're doing ship prices. But hopefully, as 2024 continues, this is all just a warm up for, all right, let's have the big economic discussions about Star Citizen and Quanta and how this economy is running in the background. And, the fact that NPCs are supposed to account for about 90% of the economy and players for about 10% of the economy. But how significantly can players have an impact on that 10% of the economy, right? Like, Are we going to feel inflation, deflation in the game? Are we going to see substantial changes in prices based off of player activity in game? We need just more info than we have right now. What is Quanta actually going to look like in the long term?
Yeah, we've had a little tidbits here and there about what it's going to be, but that was 2-3 years ago at this point, so it's most likely changed since then.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the prices of weapons and the prices of ships don't matter. They do. Everything probably should be a little bit more expensive right now. We need a little bit more of a money sinking game. But if the next time economy comes up, after they're teasing, they're going to be talking about this huge new update, and if it's going to be about fucking hat prices in the clothing store going up, I'm going to continue to be disappointed. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as what all of the Tony Z stuff has been hyped up to be.
Yep.
Or at least it's maybe we shouldn't even put it in a judgment of value necessarily, but it's not as interesting at the very least to me.
Yeah. We need to know how it's all going to tie together. Just increasing prices of something doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything until we know how it all works together.
Yeah. Absolutely. But hopefully we'll get more on the economy. We're going to get more 323 updates for Inside Star Citizen this week. Its own fucking branding in the game. So not really a lot to talk about 323 gameplay features there, or tech features there, or server performance there, or gameplay loops there. I'm assuming, I've not watched it yet, but it said it was about fucking branding in the game. We're on the road to 323, and we're going to talk about what signs look like. And okay.
It's going to be all right. Hopefully. We'll see.
There are bigger problems in the world, folks. I know that, but we're here to talk about Star Citizen, and I have these moments where I get really frustrated with CIG, and it's like it's a straight up roller coaster. There are times where I am flying high and feeling great about Star Citizen, and then there are times where I'm just down in the dumps right now. And I don't think I'm at the very bottom of the dumps where I'm talking about selling my account on the gray market.
Like, you've been there before. You've been there before.
But we're I don't know. I think you said it best earlier in the episode. We had a lull period where there wasn't a lot of updates going on. There wasn't a lot of content going on because they were on vacation. They were taking holiday. They were spending time with family. I get that. They work all year. Go take your vacay time, enjoy yourself, get some rest, and, enjoy your life. But after that period's over, I don't want just a bullet point of what we're going to hear about in the coming weeks. And then for the very next ISC, after that bullet point is given out, it's nothing to do with the bullet points. What are we doing, Jared? What are we doing? I wanted 323 this week. I want to hear about the mini maps update. I wanted to hear about the economic updates. I wanted to hear about how replication layer is going. I wanted to hear about, more specifics on distribution centers. I wanted to see the freight elevators work. I wanted somebody to demo one of those cargo missions. Could you imagine them fucking showing what these missions look like? Actually showing us and not just telling us, not just talking on a camera or sending a fucking email with some text about it. Purposely
imagine
a little bit there. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Show us some shit. You're working on it. You've got 2 different YouTube shows going on every single week with devs from the game. You've got people that have put thousands of dollars of their personal money because they are so excited and so passionate about this project. Fucking show them what you're working on. We know it's not finished. This game's got alpha slapped all over it. This game has in progress all over it. What do you have right now?
They have showed us this week.
Broken? What's that?
What they have showed us this week, it is Thursday, February 8th, and as of recording, they have launched the Coremore and the Lunar New Year with special paints you can get, and there's also a free fly running from today until February 15th.
Great.
If you're a new player and you're still here, get in that free fly. There's a new referral bonus, a set of armor, a dragonfly, a backpack, all kinds of fancy stuff for using a referral code. We have 2 of them down below if you want to use one. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff kicking off this week as far as events in game and everything, but no 323 information.
And for anybody new, like seriously, check out the free fly. Give the game a shot. There is truly no other game like Star Citizen. So these free fly events are a great opportunity. It's zero cost to you other than whatever time it takes to download and install the game and boot it up and get right into the verse. So definitely check out the game if you haven't already and you're interested in it. And like Sylvia said, we've got a couple referral codes in the details below. You know, I'm a little frustrated with the communication from CIG right now, but there is still just something beautiful about Star Citizen. When I take a deep breath, I'm gonna find my center. There it is. I'm excited to hear more about 323.
Yeah, CIG has never been the best about, telling us their intentions or showing us stuff. Communication's always been an issue with them, but man, 323 is going to be something else. And shit, your boy might bring the stream back if it plays well. Maybe. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff coming that could change how the game plays and eliminate some of the headache, so
yeah.
We will see.
Yes, we shall. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the CommLink Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us today. Be sure to, if you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button and subscribe so that you get updates on subsequent episodes coming out. In addition to the podcast on the channel, we also have reaction videos for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen content. And we also have what is called the CommLink Alert. So when major articles with what we deem to be significant enough or interesting enough news or updates about the game, when those are published on the Star Citizen website, they're simply read aloud in the CommLink Alert. It's for the commuter. It's for somebody that would just prefer to listen to it for whatever reason than sit down and read it. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're working out, maybe you're playing Star Citizen and you don't want to take the time to read through it, but you'd like to listen to it while you're mining or traveling or whatever it is you're doing. Anyway, so the most recent ones to have gone up, we've got the Star Citizen PU monthly report that's available, and then I'm drawing a blank. We did 2 this week.
The roadmap roundup.
The roadmap roundup as well, right?
Yep.
So if you want to hear that information aloud, it's there provided for you. We also put up both the podcast and those alerts on Spotify as well. So if you would like to listen to us, take us in your car, and use the Spotify app for that. Really simple. Just search for CommLink Podcast. We'll come right up. And then, yeah, that's about it. Our socials at CommLink Pod, we're on Twitter and we're on Instagram. On our Twitter page, we're still running our Cutter Rambler with LTI giveaway over there. So if you check the pin post at the top at CommLink Pod on Twitter /X, all of that information is there. We just had a few more people enter, so there's still space, but as soon as we hit our 100 followers, that giveaway is happening. So go ahead and get in now if you haven't already. What's the worst that could happen? You took 5 seconds to like the post, retweet it, and follow the account. The best that could happen, free Cutter Rambler with LTI. Pretty sweet. So
those are cool ships.
They are. I really do like that Rambler. Like I've got one that I'm keeping for myself. I got 2 packages. I got one for the giveaway and then one for old Stubb. So
there you go. And
I like the Rambler.
Those alerts, you can listen along to them, but we also put a lot of work into that green screen, and
yeah,
we have the teleprompter rolling too for anybody that wants to read along. So both formats. But yeah, they're good stuff. And if if you disagree with Stubb about his rant on Star Citizen Live or anything we've talked about, or agree with us, whatever, just share your opinion in the comments, because we will read every single one of them and maybe even respond to them on another show.
Yeah. And if you want me to do more rants, I can't always turn it on like that, but maybe maybe it could be like a monthly rant or something like that. So let us know if you'd be interested in something to that effect. So you have anything else for this week, man?
That's it for me. Thanks, Stubb, for being here, and good
thank you.
Good conversation as always.
Absolutely. For sure. And like I said, as we get more updates on 323, we'll be discussing them right here on the podcast. We'll talk about other subjects as well, but obviously going into the release of 323, that's going to be a huge focus of conversation. So exciting times. I hope that we get some major news breaking here soon. Fingers crossed.
Stay tuned to find out.
Be safe, everybody. Stay well. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Ciao, ciao.
See you next time.